Christmas morning, 2018. 4 happy faces around a decorated tree, wrapping paper scattered everywhere, children's laughter filling the house. By Christmas evening, the Johnson family had vanished without a trace. But here's what will shock you. Every year since then, their neighbors hear the exact same sounds from their empty house. The same laughter, the same excited voices, the same Christmas morning, playing on repeat like a broken record. Mrs. Patterson from next door was the first to report the impossible sounds. Every December 25th at exactly 9:47 a.m., she heard the Johnson children's voices through the walls. "Mom, can we open presents now?" Followed by Linda's laugh and Mark's voice saying, "Let's see what Santa brought." The same conversation, word for word, year after year. But when police entered the house, they found something that would haunt them forever. December 25th, 2018 began like every Christmas morning in the Johnson household for the past 8 years. Mark Johnson, 42, was already awake at 6:30 a.m., preparing the coffee maker and setting up the video camera they used to record every Christmas morning. His wife, Linda, 38, was in the kitchen arranging the special Christmas breakfast, cinnamon rolls, hot chocolate, and fresh fruit that had become their family tradition. 8-year-old Emma and 6-year-old Tyler had been awake since 5:45 a.m., whispering excitedly in Emma's room about what presents might be waiting under the tree. The Johnson family lived at 1247 Maple Street in the quiet suburban neighborhood of Willowbrook, a community where Christmas was taken seriously. Every house was decorated with lights, every lawn featured inflatable Santa figures or reindeer, and every family participated in the annual Christmas Eve caroling tradition. Mark was a software engineer who worked from his home office, while Linda taught 2nd grade at Willowbrook Elementary School. They were the kind of parents who documented everything: birthdays, first days of school, family vacations, and especially Christmas mornings. Their Christmas video collection included 8 years of their children growing up, unwrapping presents, and expressing pure joy at the magic of the holiday. At exactly 9:15 a.m., Mark called upstairs. "Kids, Santa came. Are you ready to see what he brought?" The sound of small feet thundering down the stairs was immediately followed by Emma's delighted gasp. "Oh my gosh, he ate all the cookies, and he drank the milk." Tyler's 6-year-old voice was equally excited. "Look how many presents there are. Can we start opening them now?" Linda's voice, warm and patient as always, responded, "Let Daddy get the camera set up first, and then we'll see what Santa brought for our good little elves." Mark positioned the video camera on its tripod, focused on the living room where their artificial Christmas tree stood surrounded by carefully wrapped presents. The tree was decorated with years of accumulated ornaments, handmade ones from the children's school projects, delicate glass balls inherited from Linda's grandmother, and special ornaments marking important family milestones. "Okay," Mark's voice could be heard saying on the recording. "Christmas morning 2018, the Johnson family Christmas spectacular. Emma, you're 8 now, so you can help Tyler with his presents if he needs it." Emma nodded seriously, taking her role as big sister very much to heart. "Tyler, do you want to open the big one from Mom and Dad first, or start with the little ones?" Tyler, bouncing with excitement, pointed to a large rectangular package wrapped in bright red paper. "The big one! The big one!" What happened next was captured on the video camera that Mark had set up to record their Christmas morning. The timestamp showed 9:47 a.m. when Emma handed Tyler the large present, and he began carefully peeling away the wrapping paper, just as his parents had taught him. "Oh, wow!" Tyler's voice was filled with wonder as he revealed a large box containing a remote-controlled helicopter. "This is exactly what I wanted. How did Santa know?" Linda laughed, the sound clear and joyful on the recording. "Santa knows everything, sweetheart. What do you think, Emma? Should we see what Santa brought for you?" Emma reached for a medium-sized package wrapped in gold paper with a large green bow. As she began to unwrap it, her face lit up with anticipation. "I hope it's the art set I asked for. I want to paint pictures for everyone." Mark's voice came from behind the camera. "Whatever it is, I'm sure Santa picked it just for you." The video continued for exactly 3 more minutes and 17 seconds. Emma unwrapped her art set, expressing perfect delight. Tyler played with his helicopter's remote control. Linda and Mark exchanged small gifts, a new watch for him, a beautiful scarf for her. The scene was absolutely normal, absolutely perfect, absolutely typical of thousands of families across the country celebrating Christmas morning. Then, at exactly 9:50 a.m. and 17 seconds, the recording showed something that would puzzle investigators for years to come. In the middle of Emma saying, "Mom, can you help me open this paint set?" the video showed an empty living room. Not a room where people had suddenly vanished. An empty room where it appeared no one had ever been. The Christmas tree was still there, fully decorated. The presents were still there, still wrapped, as if they had never been touched. The breakfast Linda had prepared was still in the kitchen, still warm. But the Johnson family was gone. Mrs. Patterson next door noticed the sudden silence immediately. She had been listening to the familiar sounds of Christmas morning through the thin walls that separated their duplex homes, smiling at the children's excitement. When the voices stopped abruptly at 9:50 a.m., she assumed the family had moved to another part of the house or perhaps gone outside to try Tyler's new helicopter. It wasn't until 6:00 p.m. that evening, when she hadn't heard any activity from the Johnson house all day, that Mrs. Patterson became concerned. The Johnson family always spent Christmas evening with Linda's parents, but they typically left around 2:00 p.m., and Mrs. Patterson always heard them loading gifts into their car. She knocked on the front door, but received no answer. She could see through the front window that all the Christmas morning presents were still under the tree, still wrapped. The breakfast dishes were still on the kitchen counter, visible through the window that looked into their kitchen. Worried, Mrs. Patterson called the police. Officer Sarah Martinez arrived at 1247 Maple Street at 6:47 p.m. on Christmas evening. She was working the holiday shift, expecting nothing more serious than noise complaints or minor domestic disputes that sometimes arose during stressful family gatherings. Mrs. Patterson met Officer Martinez at the front door, explaining her concerns about the unusual silence from the Johnson house. "They have young children," Mrs. Patterson explained. 8 and 6 years old. On Christmas Day, you always hear children playing, laughing, trying out new toys. But it's been completely silent since about 10:00 this morning. Officer Martinez walked around the house, checking for any signs of forced entry. All windows were intact, all doors were locked. She peered through the front window and could see exactly what Mrs. Patterson had described. A living room that looked like Christmas morning had been frozen in time. The presents under the tree were pristinely wrapped, showing no signs of having been opened. The breakfast on the kitchen counter appeared untouched. Even more strangely, the video camera was still set up on its tripod, its red recording light still blinking. Officer Martinez used her radio to call for backup and request permission to enter the house for a welfare check. When backup arrived, officers gained entry through the back door using standard procedures for welfare checks. What they found inside the Johnson house would become one of the most documented and analyzed crime scenes in local police history. The house was exactly as it appeared from outside, perfectly normal, perfectly preserved, and completely empty of human life. In the living room, the video camera was still recording. When officers checked the footage, they found 3 hours and 17 minutes of recording showing an empty room. The camera had been recording continuously, but after the 9:50 a.m. timestamp, it showed only an empty living room with undisturbed presents under the Christmas tree. The breakfast Linda had prepared was still warm. The coffee Mark had made was still hot. Tyler's new helicopter was in its box under the tree, the packaging showing no signs of having been opened. Emma's art set was similarly pristine. But most disturbing of all was what officers found when they reviewed the video recording from the beginning. The footage clearly showed the Johnson family opening presents, talking, laughing, and celebrating Christmas morning. But at exactly 9:50 a.m. and 17 seconds, the video showed the family simply wasn't there anymore. Not disappearing, not leaving, just not there, as if they had never existed. Officer Martinez had seen many strange things in her 15 years of police work, but nothing had prepared her for the Johnson case. 4 people had vanished from a locked house while being recorded on video, leaving behind no trace except for the impossible evidence that they had been there just moments before. The Johnson case was immediately escalated to Detective Michael Rodriguez, a 20-year veteran of the Willowbrook Police Department who specialized in missing persons cases. When he arrived at 1247 Maple Street at 9:30 p.m. on Christmas night, he expected to find evidence of a family emergency, perhaps a sudden medical situation that had required the Johnsons to leave quickly for the hospital. What he found instead challenged everything he thought he understood about how people disappear. "I've worked hundreds of missing persons cases," Detective Rodriguez later told reporters. "People leave traces. They pack bags. They take phones. They leave notes. They tell neighbors where they're going. The Johnson family left nothing. It's like they simply stopped existing." The video evidence was particularly troubling. Detective Rodriguez watched the footage dozens of times, studying every frame for clues. The recording showed a normal family Christmas morning until 9:17 a.m., when the frame suddenly showed an empty room with no transition, no movement, no explanation. "The strangest part wasn't that they disappeared," Rodriguez noted in his case files. "The strangest part was that everything they had interacted with reverted to its original state. The presents they had unwrapped were wrapped again. The food they had eaten was back on the plates. It was like time had reset itself." The crime scene team processed the Johnson house with unusual thoroughness. Every surface was dusted for fingerprints, every room was photographed from multiple angles, and every item was cataloged and tested for DNA evidence. The results were both conclusive and impossible. The house contained abundant evidence that the Johnson family lived there. Their fingerprints were on doorknobs, light switches, and personal items throughout the house. Their DNA was found on clothing, toothbrushes, and personal belongings. Family photos lined the walls, showing years of birthday parties, school events, and family vacations. But there was no evidence that anyone had been in the house on Christmas morning 2018. The wrapped presents under the tree showed no fingerprints. The breakfast on the kitchen counter had never been touched. The video camera, despite recording for over 3 hours, had captured no DNA or fingerprint evidence of human contact. Dr. Elena Vasquez, the forensic specialist assigned to the case, found the evidence so contradictory that she requested permission to bring in additional experts. "In 30 years of forensic analysis, I've never seen anything like this," Dr. Vasquez reported. "We have definitive proof that the Johnson family lives in this house, and equally definitive proof that they were never here on December 25th. Both things cannot be true, but both things are supported by irrefutable scientific evidence. News of the Johnson family's disappearance spread quickly through Willowbrook. In a community where everyone knew their neighbors and unusual events were rare, the mysterious vanishing became the only topic of conversation. Mrs. Patterson found herself at the center of media attention when word spread that she had been the last person to hear the family. Local news crews camped outside her house, asking her to describe exactly what she had heard that Christmas morning. "It was just a normal Christmas morning," she told reporter Jessica Chen from Channel 7 News. "I heard little Tyler asking if he could open presents. I heard Emma helping her brother. I heard Linda and Mark being loving parents. Then it just stopped, complete silence." But Mrs. Patterson's account raised more questions than it answered. She insisted she had heard the family celebrating Christmas morning. Yet the forensic evidence showed that no one had touched the presents or eaten the breakfast. Other neighbors began reporting their own observations. The Hendersons, who lived across the street, confirmed that they had seen lights on in the Johnson house early Christmas morning. Maria Santos, who lived 2 houses down, reported that she had seen Mark Johnson bringing in packages from his car on Christmas Eve, presumably last-minute gifts. Yet security cameras from neighboring houses showed no activity at the Johnson house on Christmas morning. The mailbox camera at 1245 Maple Street, which had a clear view of the Johnsons' front door, showed no one entering or leaving the house between 6 o'clock a.m. and 10 o'clock p.m. on December 25th. 1 year later, on December 25th, 2019, Mrs. Patterson called the police at 10:15 a.m. with a report that would transform the Johnson case from a missing persons investigation into something unprecedented. "They're back," she told the emergency dispatcher. "I can hear them again. The same voices, the same conversations. Tyler asking about presents, Emma helping him, Linda and Mark laughing. It's exactly the same as last year." Detective Rodriguez arrived at 1247 Maple Street within 20 minutes. The house had been sealed as a crime scene and remained empty since the previous Christmas. No one had been inside except investigators, and the property was under regular police surveillance. Yet Mrs. Patterson's report was accurate. Standing outside the house, Detective Rodriguez could clearly hear children's voices coming from inside. "Mom, can we open presents now?" The voice was definitely that of a young boy. "Let's see what Santa brought." A woman's voice, warm and loving. Detective Rodriguez used his key to enter the house immediately. Inside, he found the same scene that had puzzled investigators for a year. Presents wrapped under the tree, warm breakfast on the counter, video camera recording an empty room. But the voices continued. For exactly 43 minutes, Detective Rodriguez stood in the empty Johnson living room listening to the sounds of a family celebrating Christmas morning in rooms that contained no one. The 2019 incident prompted authorities to bring in specialists from outside the local police department. Dr. Sarah Kim, a physicist from the State University, was asked to consult on the case and determine if there might be a scientific explanation for the recurring audio phenomena. Dr. Kim set up sensitive recording equipment throughout the Johnson house and monitored electromagnetic readings during the Christmas morning events. Her findings were published in the Journal of Anomalous Phenomena and remain controversial in the scientific community. "The audio is not coming from any electronic device," Dr. Kim reported. "The sounds appear to be emanating from the physical space itself, as if the walls and air in the house have somehow retained and are replaying the acoustic patterns from that final Christmas morning." More disturbing were Dr. Kim's electromagnetic readings. During the 43 minutes when the voices could be heard, Her instruments detected massive fluctuations in the local electromagnetic field, similar to patterns associated with severe thunderstorms or solar flare activity. The house is experiencing some kind of temporal echo. Dr. Kim concluded, the events of December 25, 2018 appear to be replaying themselves annually, but only in audio form. The question is whether this represents some kind of natural phenomenon we don't understand, or something else entirely. By December 2020, when the audio phenomena occurred for the third consecutive year, the Johnson case had attracted the attention of federal authorities. The FBI assigned Special Agent Jennifer Walsh to investigate potential connections to other unsolved disappearances. Agent Walsh's research revealed a pattern that had gone unnoticed by local investigators. Over the past 20 years, 7 families in different states had vanished under similar circumstances, disappearing from their homes during family celebrations while being recorded on video or audio equipment. The Patterson family had vanished from their home in Oregon during Thanksgiving dinner 2003. The Chen family had disappeared from their house in Colorado during a birthday party in 2009. The Rodriguez family had vanished from their home in Texas during Easter dinner in 2014. In every case, recording equipment had captured the families celebrating normally until a specific timestamp when they simply were no longer there. In every case, neighbors reported hearing the family's voices replaying annually on the anniversary of their disappearance. "We're not looking at isolated incidents," Agent Walsh reported to her superiors. "We're looking at what appears to be a systematic phenomenon affecting families across the United States. The Johnson case is just the most recent and best documented example." The investigation was about to take an even stranger turn when Agent Walsh discovered that all of the affected families had one unusual thing in common. Special Agent Jennifer Walsh's discovery would change everything investigators thought they knew about the disappearing families. After months of analyzing the cases, she found that all 7 families had purchased their recording equipment from the same manufacturer, Temporal Dynamics Corporation, a small electronics company based in Nevada. More specifically, each family had bought their video cameras exactly 30 days before their disappearance. "It's not a coincidence," Agent Walsh reported to the FBI task force assembled to investigate the phenomenon. The Patterson family bought their camera on October 15, 2003. They vanished on November 15th. The Chen family purchased theirs on August 9, 2009, and disappeared on September 9th. Every single family followed the exact same timeline. The Johnson family had purchased their camera on November 25, 2018, 30 days before Christmas. Detective Rodriguez pulled the receipt from the Johnson family's financial records. The camera had been bought online directly from Temporal Dynamics Corporation for $299.99, advertised as a professional-grade family memory recording system with advanced temporal stabilization technology. When Agent Walsh contacted Temporal Dynamics Corporation, she discovered that the company had been closed since 2019. The Nevada business address led to an empty warehouse. The phone number was disconnected. Corporate records showed that the company had been owned by a single individual, Dr. Marcus Chen, who shared a surname with one of the vanished families but claimed no relation. Dr. Marcus Chen had vanished along with his company in March 2019, just 3 months after the Johnson family disappeared. His laboratory notes, recovered from the abandoned warehouse, revealed the true purpose of the recording devices he had been selling to families across the country. The cameras were not designed to record memories. They were designed to harvest them. According to Dr. Chen's research files, he had been working on a project he called temporal memory extraction, a process by which intense emotional experiences could be captured, stored, and preserved indefinitely. His theory was that moments of pure happiness created unique electromagnetic signatures that could be recorded and replayed. The perfect family moment generates temporal energy, Dr. Chen had written in his notes. Christmas morning, birthday parties, holiday celebrations. These events create resonance patterns that transcend normal space-time limitations. By capturing these patterns, we can preserve perfect happiness forever. The families who had purchased Dr. Chen's cameras had unknowingly participated in his experiment. The devices were programmed to activate during moments of peak emotional intensity, measuring brain activity, recording conversations, and capturing what Dr. Chen called happiness signatures. But something had gone wrong with the extraction process. Dr. Chen's laboratory notes revealed that the families were never supposed to disappear. The original design called for the cameras to record and store emotional experiences without affecting the people creating them. The families should have continued living normal lives while their happiest moments were preserved in Dr. Chen's database. Instead, the extraction process had somehow pulled the families themselves into their recorded moments, trapping them in temporal loops that replayed their perfect celebrations over and over again. Agent Walsh found Dr. Chen's final laboratory entry, dated March 15, 2019. The extraction is working too well. The families are not just sharing their happiness, they are becoming part of it. The temporal stabilization field is pulling their consciousness into the recorded moment, creating a feedback loop that prevents them from returning to normal time flow. I have created prisons made of perfect memories. The Patterson family has been reliving their Thanksgiving dinner for 16 years. The Rodriguez family is trapped in an eternal Easter celebration. 7 families are experiencing the same perfect moment forever, and I don't know how to bring them back. The FBI is investigating. I must destroy the equipment and disappear before they discover what I have done. May God forgive me for trying to preserve happiness at the cost of human freedom. Armed with this new information, Agent Walsh returned to Willowbrook to interview Mrs. Patterson about what she had been hearing from the Johnson house. But Mrs. Patterson had developed a theory of her own about the recurring Christmas morning sounds. I've been listening to them for 6 years now, Mrs. Patterson told Agent Walsh during their interview. At first, I thought it was some kind of recording playing in the empty house, but I've started to notice small differences each year. Mrs. Patterson had been keeping detailed notes about the voices she heard every Christmas morning. While the general conversation remained the same, Tyler asking about presents, Emma helping her brother, Linda and Mark being loving parents, subtle variations occurred each year. Last year, Tyler asked for a different toy first. The year before that, Emma mentioned wanting to paint a picture of our neighborhood instead of just pictures for everyone. They're not just replaying the same moment. They're living it, over and over, with tiny changes each time. Agent Walsh was intrigued by Mrs. Patterson's observations. If the families were truly trapped in temporal loops rather than simply having their memories extracted, it might be possible to communicate with them. Mrs. Patterson, have you ever tried talking to them when you hear their voices? I tried once, Mrs. Patterson admitted. 2 years ago, I went next door during their Christmas morning and called out to Linda through the wall. The voices stopped for about 10 minutes. And then Linda's voice said something she had never said before. Did someone call my name? On December 25th, 2024, Agent Walsh organized an unprecedented attempt to communicate with the Johnson family during their annual Christmas morning replay. She assembled a team that included Dr. Sarah Kim, the physicist who had studied the electromagnetic anomalies, Detective Rodriguez, and Mrs. Patterson, who had become the unofficial expert on the family's trapped conversations. At exactly 9:47 a.m., when Mrs. Patterson confirmed that the voices had begun, Agent Walsh entered the empty Johnson house with sensitive recording equipment and speakers designed to broadcast sound into the temporal loop. "Johnson family, this is FBI Special Agent Jennifer Walsh." She spoke clearly into the empty living room. "We know you're trapped in a time loop, and we're here to help you." The response was immediate and chilling. Tyler's young voice, clear as if he were standing in the room, replied, "Mommy, who is that lady? Why is she in our house?" Linda's voice followed, filled with concern. "Mark, someone is here. Someone we don't know." For the first time in 6 years, the Johnson family's Christmas morning conversation had deviated from its established pattern. Agent Walsh had made contact with people who were simultaneously missing and present, trapped in a moment that was both past and eternally occurring. "We're going to get you out," Agent Walsh promised, though she had no idea how to keep that promise. Mark Johnson's voice responded with desperate hope. "Please, we've been trying to leave for so long. Christmas morning just keeps starting over. Emma and Tyler don't understand why we can't go see Grandma and Grandpa. Can you help us?" Agent Walsh realized she was speaking to a family that had been experiencing the same perfect Christmas morning for over 3,000 repetitions, aware of their situation but unable to escape it. The real question was whether Dr. Marcus Chen's temporal extraction process could be reversed, or if the Johnson family was destined to spend eternity trapped in their last moment of perfect happiness. Agent Walsh knew she had only minutes to communicate with the Johnson family before their Christmas morning loop reset. Working with Dr. Kim, she had developed a theory about how Dr. Chen's temporal extraction device might be reversed. The electromagnetic field is strongest during the first 15 minutes of their loop, Dr. Kim explained. If we can disrupt the field at exactly the right moment, we might be able to pull their consciousness back into real time. The plan required precise timing. At 9:50 a.m., the exact moment the family had originally vanished, Agent Walsh would activate a device Dr. Kim had constructed to counteract the temporal field. "Mark, Linda, I need you to listen carefully." Agent Walsh spoke into the empty room. "In 3 minutes, your Christmas morning is going to end, just like it has every year. But this time, we're going to try to bring you back to the real world." Linda's voice responded with desperate hope. "Will we still be together? Will Emma and Tyler be okay?" "We're going to do everything we can to keep your family together," Agent Walsh promised. At 9:57 a.m., Dr. Kim activated her electromagnetic disruptor. The entire house shook as competing electromagnetic fields clashed. Windows rattled, electronics sparked, and the air itself seemed to vibrate with energy. For 17 seconds, the house filled with brilliant light as the temporal loop fought against the disruption field. Agent Walsh could see shadowy figures materializing in the living room. Mark and Linda Johnson, Emma and Tyler, all appearing exactly as they had 6 years ago. But something was wrong. The figures were translucent, flickering like bad television reception. Emma looked directly at Agent Walsh and reached out her hand. But when Agent Walsh tried to take it, her fingers passed through empty air. "We can see you," Mark called out, his voice growing fainter. "But we can't touch anything. We can't leave the room." Dr. Kim's instruments were going crazy. "The temporal field is collapsing, but it's not releasing them completely. They're caught between 2 time streams." The extraction attempt achieved something unprecedented, but incomplete. The Johnson family became visible in their house for exactly 43 minutes, but remained trapped, unable to physically interact with the real world. "It's like they're ghosts of themselves," Mrs. Patterson observed, watching through the window as the translucent figures moved around their living room. Agent Walsh realized they had created a new kind of prison for the Johnson family. Instead of being trapped in an endless loop, they were now trapped as conscious spirits, aware of their situation but unable to escape it. "I've made it worse," Dr. Kim admitted. The electromagnetic disruption partially separated their consciousness from the temporal loop, but it didn't restore their physical forms. Mark Johnson's spirit approached Agent Walsh. "What happens to us now? Can you try again next year?" 3 days after the failed extraction attempt, Dr. Marcus Chen contacted Agent Walsh through an encrypted email. The creator of the temporal extraction device had been hiding for 5 years. "I saw your attempt to free the Johnson family," Dr. Chen wrote. "You've made their situation more complicated, but perhaps not hopeless. I've spent 5 years developing a way to reverse the extraction process completely." Dr. Chen proposed a meeting at the abandoned Temporal Dynamics warehouse in Nevada. He claimed to have built a device that could restore the trapped families to normal time, but he needed Agent Walsh's help to operate it. "The machine requires someone inside the temporal field to activate it," Dr. Chen explained. "I can send you into the Christmas morning loop with the Johnson family, but you would risk becoming trapped yourself." Agent Walsh faced an impossible choice. She could attempt to rescue 7 families by risking her own freedom, or she could leave them trapped in their perfect moments forever. Mrs. Patterson's Christmas wish was simple. "I just want to hear real children playing next door again." Agent Walsh met Dr. Chen at the abandoned warehouse in Nevada. The scientist looked haunted, gray-haired, hollow-eyed, carrying the weight of 7 trapped families. "The reversal process is untested," Dr. Chen warned. "You'll enter the temporal loop at 9:47 a.m. Christmas morning 2018. You'll have exactly 3 minutes to convince the Johnson family to activate this device before their loop resets." "What happens if I get trapped too?" "Then 8 people will be stuck in Christmas morning forever instead of 4. Agent Walsh made her choice. Those families have been trapped for years. Someone has to take the risk. At exactly 9:47 a.m. on January 15, 2025, Agent Walsh entered the temporal field. She found herself standing in the Johnson living room on Christmas morning 2018, watching Emma help Tyler unwrap presents. "Who are you?" Linda asked, startled by the sudden appearance of a stranger. Agent Walsh quickly explained the situation. "You're trapped in time. I'm here to get you out, but we only have 3 minutes." Mark grabbed the device Agent Walsh handed him. "Will this hurt the children?" "No, but when we activate it, you'll suddenly be 6 years older. Emma will be 14, Tyler will be 12. You'll have missed 6 years of their lives." Linda and Mark exchanged glances. 6 years of watching their children grow up. Gone forever. "But they'll be free to grow up from now on?" Linda asked. "Yes." Mark activated the device at exactly 9:16 a.m. Christmas morning, 2025, at 1247 Maple Street was different from any Christmas the Johnson family had experienced. Emma, now 14, helped her 12-year-old brother Tyler set up his new gaming system. The 6 years they had lost were evident in every conversation. But they were real. They were growing. They were free. Mrs. Patterson knocked on their door with homemade cookies. "Merry Christmas, neighbors." For the first time in 7 years, she heard genuine children's laughter from next door. Not the same perfect moment repeated, but real kids being real kids. Dr. Chen had successfully freed all 7 families from their temporal prisons before turning himself in to federal authorities. The transition wasn't easy. Missing years of memories, children who had to catch up on education. But Agent Walsh could see the Johnson family through their windows, not frozen in perfect happiness, but living imperfect, beautiful, real life. Sometimes the greatest gift isn't preserving perfect moments forever. Sometimes it's letting them go so new ones can be created.